Welcome to another painting tutorial. In this one we're going to look at another Eldar Guardian done in the Iyanden color scheme. So that's the yellows there with a blue helmet, a little bit of red detail, some white detail, and black on the gun. So I started out with a gray primer. There's the front and back. Then I painted on the base colors there. I don't need to show you that all the way through, but painted all the base colors in a block style, and there we are. Now we start painting it up. So this is all in 4x speed. All those paints will be in the in my blog. Maybe not exactly when this gets uploaded, but in the next couple days. So just putting on that the yellow wash there. It's kind of an orangish yellow. Trying to get it on there nice and thick over all of the yellow areas on the model, and that'll help give the shading just a bit more depth. Okay, and then next we're going to put the Drakenhof Nightshade Blue, and that's just going on the helmet. Nothing else in terms of that blue. A little tricky to get in behind the back of the helmet there. I had to touch a little bit of that up off camera. Okay, now Hourland Sunset for the yellow, and just painting this over all the main areas. So this is the same base color, and I'm just doing this to help brighten it up a little bit and get all the main areas, just trying to avoid the deep crevices on all the model. So you could avoid this step if you wanted. I think it's a bit more important with the yellow because you want a nice clean bright yellow as much as possible anyways. Another way of doing the yellow is starting with a white and using washes to bring the color down, but this is an alternate that works as well. So yeah, just trying to get all the main surfaces redone with this color just to help even out the tones there. And then going forward for the rest of the model, I'm using the same sort of basic ideas for layering. You put your base color, you shade it, and then you layer up on top of that, sort of working towards the edges with each subsequent layer. With the exception being the black. So this is Uriel yellow, so I'm just painting this on sort of the upper edges of the surfaces. And then for the black, the main difference is that I'll do a wash after the highlights, and that'll just help bring things down to make it a bit more black. So yeah, this yellow, I'm trying to blend it a little bit with the previous one, getting just the raised surfaces and just towards the edges, but not worrying too much about being exact with it. Overlapping a lot of stuff from before, just helping brighten up the main surfaces. And as I mentioned with the other one, this is sort of a basic painting scheme that would be used for major troops. Obviously you can add a lot more detail and spend a lot more time for character models, but in terms of getting the guys on the tabletop, you need to do that. At least I think you need to do that as fast as possible. So flash kit yellow for just the edge highlighting now, using a very fine brush, and just trying to make that as bright as possible. You could actually go further with a white highlight. At the very end I give it a yellow glaze. It doesn't really do much, but if you did a white highlight after this and then the yellow glaze, that would probably give you the brightest sort of highlight option that you have. Again, if you did a white base coat with that orangey shade and then highlighted with white and gave it the yellow glaze, that would give you a bit of a brighter yellow. So that would be another option instead of what I'm doing here. I find getting nice bright yellows is tricky, and part of that is making sure that you have good base colors, and that's why I redid the base after the shade. Okay, finishing up this, using Dark Reaper to highlight the black. So this is sort of a bluish black, kind of a charcoaly kind of color, and I'm painting that edge highlighting on the shuriken catapult there, as well as the ammo clip and the stuff on the back of his belt there. And this, I can be a little bit more liberal with this because I'm going to be adding the black shade later on, and that'll help blend some of these into the shadows a bit more. Okay, Thunderhawk Blue for just some fine edge highlighting here. I don't find there's a lot of difference between Thunderhawk and Dark Reaper, but this helps bring out the colors just a little bit more. And each subsequent highlight is much faster than the previous ones. For those hoses there, I'm just making sure there's a little bit of paint on the brush and kind of sliding the brush along things to help get just the edge colors there. Okay, so Administorium Gray for the mask, I'm doing that as a white color, and so this is kind of a light gray, and the next color is Euthan Gray, or Ulthan Gray, however you pronounce that, and just trying to get the edges on the lower part of the eye there, and a bit of the front. Adlotech Blue for the major parts of the helmet, and just trying to highlight the around those connecting parts where there's almost like a gem on the side of the helmet there, leaving a dark section, kind of a halo around that where the shadows would be. Hoeth Blue just in the front of the helmet there, that edge, and then up the tip towards the back, just to give a bit more sense of highlight. Evil Sun's Scarlet for those arms, sorry, the bands on her arms, I guess it is, and just doing a little bit of highlighting on that, and those things on the legs. Wild Rider Red, just some slight highlights on those now. The red is kind of optional, but a little bit of a nice contrast color. Newland Oil on the gun and the clips, and that's basically it. I do a little bit on the mask, and I touch that up off camera. Just tried to get that lower edge to be a bit more defined right there. That's what I'm doing there, and I had to touch that up later. Okay, there's the Lamenter's Yellow Glaze. Doesn't really do anything noticeable on this, but if you did a white highlight, that would be better to bring those colors and brighten them up a little bit. I suppose it does seem to brighten up the yellow a little bit here, but very minimal difference. And that's it. I did a little bit of the texture on the base and dry brushed that, and we'll just look at the different angles of the model. So again, this is sort of a quick tabletop version of the model. If you spent more time blending those colors and maybe doing some more edge highlighting with, say, whites or slightly off whites, you could maybe brighten it up a little bit. Depends on what style you like for your models. I like Eldar to be nice and crisp. Want them to be look brand new, sort of armor looking. And of course, for your character models, you can spend more time doing the gemstones and that sort of thing. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you check out my blog and other videos. There'll be a link in the description below. See you next time.